Traveling internationally can be an exciting experience, but for individuals who rely on accessible parking, it can also raise important questions. One common concern is whether a disability parking permit issued in the United States is accepted in the European Union. While accessibility laws in many European countries support individuals with disabilities, the rules regarding parking permits can vary depending on the country you visit. Understanding how disability parking permits are recognized internationally can help travelers prepare ahead of time and avoid unnecessary complications. In the United States, disability parking permits allow individuals with qualifying mobility impairments to park in designated accessible parking spaces. These spaces are typically located close to building entrances and often include additional room for wheelchairs or mobility aids. Because the permit is issued to a person rather than a specific vehicle, it can be used in different vehicles as long as the eligible individual is present. This flexibility allows people with disabilities to maintain independence while traveling domestically. However, when traveling outside the United States, things can become more complex. The European Union uses a standardized parking credential known as the European Blue Badge. This permit is recognized across EU member states and allows individuals with disabilities to use accessible parking spaces throughout participating countries. The Blue Badge system was created to provide consistency and ensure that individuals with disabilities can travel across European borders without losing access to parking accommodations. Although the Blue Badge is widely recognized across Europe, U.S. disability parking permits are not automatically accepted in every EU country. Recognition of foreign permits often depends on local regulations. Some European countries may recognize disability permits issued by other countries, especially if the permit clearly displays the international symbol of accessibility and includes identifying information. However, this recognition is not guaranteed. In many cases, local authorities may require visitors to obtain a temporary parking permit or follow specific procedures to use accessible parking legally. Because each country may interpret accessibility regulations differently, it is important for travelers to research the specific rules of their destination before arriving. For example, some countries may allow visitors to display their U.S. disability parking permit while also requiring additional documentation, such as identification or proof that the permit belongs to the traveler. Other countries may require travelers to register their permit with local authorities or apply for a temporary permit that aligns with the European Blue Badge system. Planning ahead can help ensure that accessible parking privileges are available during international travel. Another important factor to consider is that accessible parking regulations in Europe may differ from those in the United States. While the purpose of accessible parking spaces is similar, the rules regarding where and how these spaces can be used may vary. In some European cities, accessible parking spaces may be located on narrow streets or in areas with different parking restrictions. There may also be time limits or special permits required for certain zones. Travelers should pay close attention to local signage and parking regulations to avoid confusion or fines. Public transportation and accessibility infrastructure also vary widely across European countries. In many major cities, public transportation systems such as trains, buses, and trams are designed with accessibility features that may reduce the need for driving or parking altogether. However, for travelers who plan to rent a car or drive during their trip, understanding parking rules remains essential. When renting a vehicle in Europe, it is also important to confirm that the vehicle meets your mobility needs. If adaptive equipment such as hand controls or wheelchair accessibility features are required, arrangements should be made in advance with the rental company. Some specialized mobility rental services in Europe provide accessible vehicles designed for individuals with disabilities. Bringing documentation that supports your disability parking permit may also be helpful when traveling abroad. While the permit itself identifies you as eligible for accessible parking, additional documentation such as identification or medical certification may help clarify your eligibility if questions arise. Keeping these documents available can make it easier to explain your situation to local authorities if necessary. Another helpful step is contacting local disability organizations or tourist information centers before traveling. These organizations often have updated information about accessibility services, parking permits, and local regulations for visitors with disabilities. They may also provide guidance on whether temporary permits are available and how to obtain them. It is also important to display your disability parking permit clearly whenever using accessible parking spaces abroad. Even if recognition varies by location, displaying the permit properly helps demonstrate that you have legitimate accessibility needs. While international recognition of disability parking permits is not always guaranteed, many countries and cities are increasingly working toward improving accessibility for travelers with disabilities. Tourism organizations and governments across Europe have made significant progress in developing accessible travel resources, infrastructure, and accommodations. For travelers with mobility limitations, preparation and research are key to ensuring a smooth and enjoyable experience. Before traveling to the European Union, take time to review the parking regulations of the specific countries you plan to visit. Check whether your U.S. disability parking permit may be recognized or whether you will need to apply for a temporary permit. Contacting local authorities or disability organizations can provide clarity and help you avoid unexpected challenges. Accessible parking permits are designed to support independence and mobility for individuals with disabilities. While rules may vary internationally, many destinations are making efforts to improve accessibility for visitors. By understanding the differences between U.S. permits and the European Blue Badge system, travelers can plan ahead and ensure that their accessibility needs are considered during their trip. With the right preparation, individuals with disabilities can enjoy international travel while maintaining access to the accommodations that support their mobility and independence. We hope this video helped answer your questions. If you need a handicapped placard or plate and want to avoid the confusion and long wait times, visit handicappedparking.com. Our licensed doctors are available online to help you from the comfort of your home, making the process simple and stress-free. Subscribe for more helpful information on disabled parking permits, and leave a comment if you have any questions. Thanks for watching, and we'll see you in the next video.